Ladies and gentlemen, today we're talking about Bellum, a sandbox tactical shooter that is coming to early access sometime this fall, with some of the biggest YouTubers, Operator Drewski and Wendigoon, partnering up as investors and I assume as advisors to the direction of the game. I already see so many cracks in this project and we need to talk about it here, especially when the studio is already asking for pre-orders up to 300 USD for a limited Founders Edition. And before you ask, yes, people are buying this. Look, selling a game before it's out seems to be the norm these days, and game development is getting more expensive, so I'm forced to let this new industry standard slide. But considering the amount of games that either fail or end up being complete outright scams that are backed by big YouTubers, people that are supposed to be in touch with the community and what they want in games is absolutely baffling. And the fact that people would put in far more money than the cost of a game because of the people that entertain them on YouTube being involved is not only wrong but unethical. If there was one thing I learned from the whole Dr. Disrespect situation, where he gets banned from YouTube and is allowed back with a massive audience still watching him, is that you can get away with almost anything if you are entertaining enough. And I'm not even talking about the messaging underage girls. I'm talking about something that is far more relevant to this situation, where not only was the guy a big part of a game that never saw the light of day, where many people lost their jobs and millions of dollars collectively, but is the same guy that backed the day before, saying it was a great game to a massive audience that bought into that scam purely because he suggested it was anything but absolute garbage. People who would have never seen that money again if it weren't for Steam refunding everybody their purchase after the studio shut down like 4 days after the launch. I could go through a very long list of YouTubers who have backed games that never worked out and lost a lot of people a lot of money, and I think it's important to be skeptical at best about Bellum, and please have more sense than dollars and keep both to yourself until you have proof this project isn't going to end up nowhere like so many big tactical shooters before it have. So before I get into the other big issue I see with this title, what is Bellum? Bellum is a tactical sandbox, kind of like Arma or Reforger, but in Bellum, during its open beta, you will start off with 3 playable factions: the US, Russia, and some nondescript Middle Eastern inspired faction that uses the expected basics like AKMs and RPKs. The game mode they will be starting with in Bellum will be called Occupation, where you will enter a zone with the 2 other factions, and you will need to try and win by either killing everybody on the other team, capturing enough combat outposts, or simply pushing them out of the circular zone that you'll be playing in. This will be done through managing resources like manpower, materials, where you'll be constructing these outposts, and things like weapons and ammo for a resupply. These materials have to be transported to these locations, kind of like Arma, except it looks like you will be managing all 3 instead of just 1. How similar this happens to be to a game like Arma Reforger worries me. Arma itself is a heavily modded game with many modes adjusted to fit almost anybody's preference in a tactical shooter, and I really don't think having a version of it with a game design that is meant to act as like a sumo wrestling version of Arma with a circle you are meant to score points in or push the enemy team out of will be enough to get players to jump over to this, thinking it's a very different experience, like at all. But according to the early access video, this design isn't what brings the game to life though. It's their core systems like healing, which to me seems akin to something like Escape from Tarkov, with limb health, bleeding effects, and other afflictions that require a specific item to heal them. Bellum will also feature things like realistic ballistics, drones, and an in-depth squad coordination system that are supposed to help you win a match. Again, nothing here being differentiating enough to intrigue a player base at all. I think that the landscape of tactical shooters is barren when it comes to actually good ones to play, and people are hungry for something more. So hungry that they are far too excitable just because something new comes along backed by big YouTubers. And from what I see here with Bellum, I have to tell you, this looks more like a mode of a game than a whole game itself, and will only appeal to a very small audience that likes the very specific scenarios they might have. In other words, I have yet to see anything special with Bellum that doesn't look like the large and generic bin of tactical shooters out already, except you can pay up to $300 for this one before even getting your hands on it. I don't like that I see so many of these games that only seem to set set a precedent, not with their experience, but with what they charge people. I don't like that we are meant to be treated as investors and not consumers that just want a good product. I don't like that influencers and social media get people to spend more money than they should on subpar early access garbage. I don't like that studios seem to be testing the water more and more on what they can get away with until it becomes normalized and accepted into the free market. Here's looking at you, Tarkov. And I don't like that these influencers get away free and clear no matter what happens because they have a cult of glazers that think everything they touch should be something you need to throw your money at. Bellum stokes the fires of many things wrong with this industry right now, and it sucks because I'm sure many people there, even Drewski himself, just want to make a cool game. But you die as a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. Okay, so what if this game becomes something completely unexpected and groundbreaking? Well, for that to happen, there would need to be plenty of things they did not mention at all, debuting the price and roadmap of the game in a video they just released I will link below, and what I'm likely playing in the background now. No mod support, no other game modes, no other maps beside one called the Highlands set in Africa, no other factions but Russians, Americans, and some guerrilla fighters. There's quite literally nothing they've mentioned worth its salt that isn't already very close to what I see in other games, especially Arma. Gamers who want tactical games are hungry, but they're also unforgiving and hypercritical, and if Bellum isn't willing to step far away from games like Arma and do something very different, this audience will choose quickly, and that $300 a lot of them will inevitably spend will never be mentioned again, trust me. Anyway guys, that's all I have for you today. Please like and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks.